welcome to Radio Woodfordia with me, your host, Harley Breen. Here's an episode we recorded in studio at the 25-26 Woodford Folk Festival with Mama Kin and Dingo Spender. But here is a fun little surprise. It's not me. I'm not the host. It's Jordan Royal stepping in, or Royale, with cheese. I don't know. I didn't pay attention. I wasn't there. But how exciting. Somebody else sitting in the seat doing the interview with this wonderful live act on Jinnaburra country for the 25-26 festival, and they killed it in their live shows. I'm sure you're going to love this episode.
You're listening to Radio Woodfordia podcast, and I'm here with Mama Kin and Dingo Spender. Thank you guys so much for making the time to come into the studio and have a chat. I really appreciate it as well. I want to start, how are you guys going? How's your day? How's your performance? How are you guys feeling?
Right at this moment, just 100% Woodford.
Hell yeah.
I've landed, done the gig. The vibe is strong. Love it. How about you?
Oh, yeah.
I am post-gig, kind of like bottoming out after the adrenaline and the build-up and travel. So I'm just kind of going to do this, and I'm going to go lay in the green room with my headphones in and have like a half an hour kip.
That is so nice. It must be a bit of a different experience too, travelling, having it all sort of jam-packed, and then having your gig on like the first day and then sort of done now for you guys, you know?
Yeah, well, it's normally when we do Woodford, we'll do 2-3 gigs. So it's almost a little bit sad to have only done one, but it was amazing. So I feel like it covered everything in one gig.
Yeah. I mean, even as we were walking here, so many people stopped you and like was telling you how much, you know, it really meant to them and how awesome it was. So when you're up on there seeing Woodford being back here, how does it feel for you to be up on that stage, especially at Amphigrande?
I said this on stage, but I really mean it. Woodford is one of those festivals that grows artists. You don't have to be like a mainstream artist to play here in the first place, but then they have mainstream artists, but they play the long game of creatives, and I love that about the audience and the programmers, because the audience buys the tickets without most of the actual program being released, and it really speaks to the idea that they trust the programmers, and also they just trust the experience in the festival. So as artists, you really get to cut your teeth here, and then you get to flex. Then you get to go, you get to bring your best stuff back, you know? And I want to be playing here until I can't be playing anymore. Like, that would be my ideal scenario, and it's one of the rare festivals where that's possible.
How about yourself?
I mean, I started playing here actually with Danielle's brother years and years ago, maybe 20 plus years ago, as a saxophone player in his band. And I remember the first experience of landing here was a combat situation. I think we did like 4 or 5 gigs in a day. I remember at one point we had packed it so tight that we were running between stages. I didn't even put my instrument away. I just was running with my saxophone straight onto another stage. But it was so much fun. And you know, Woodford's one of those places where I feel like I can just, if I fell backwards, someone would catch me and, you know, buy me a delicious meal and like sing me a song or something, you know, like it's just a beautiful, everyone here is just beaming with joy and community energy. So,
no, it's so true. There's such a sense of like trust, community, as you said. And I really liked in your answer that you touched on that sort of the festival like grows with you and you grow with the festival. I mean, there are so many people that have literally grown up coming to the festival and their family. It's like a huge tradition. Do you guys have a particular memory that maybe you hold near and dear from early days? I mean, you guys have been coming to Woodford for such a long time.
Well, I came here not to perform, but with my first child. I came here before I had children, then I came with my first child, then I came without my second child, but to perform for my first time. That was a bit of a roundabout answer. All this to say that it's a rare place where you've got family that grows with you, and that I think is for the artists and the punters again. And I have a really beautiful memory of being back here a few years ago, and Dingo and I had gigs, and my daughter was playing gigs, and it was the same kid that was in nappies backstage, and John played that same year, so full family affair, and my son was here. Like, it was a full like Woodford takeover, let's just call it what it is, but also it's one of those festivals. I remember coming back from playing my first festival, and my daughter would have been 5 or 6, and I came back and I was so like, oh my God, it was so great. And the audiences were so, I didn't think they'd be there for us in that way because nobody knows about us yet. And she was just sitting there just being like, maybe I can do that one day. Like, she literally said that at the table, and I remember going, of course you can. And then she did. And it was just like, yeah, those circles really mean something to me, because they speak of generations and legacy. And if there's one thing Bill Haritz did incredibly well, was he thought way beyond one festival. He thought beyond 10 festivals. He thought beyond 100. And you can feel that here, because the infrastructure speaks to it just being here. And then that feels like you can just arrive into a place that is ready to catch you. Like you said, what a beautiful thing you said, that someone will catch you. The place will catch you. The country will catch you. The lake will catch you. Like, all these things, they're so intentional. So that was a long way of saying yes.
It's been a long day.
Absolutely. No, that was such a beautiful answer. Thank you for saying that. And I mean, like, the family element, like that time that you guys were here and you all were sort of performing in backstage full circle, that's really beautiful as well. It is one of those festivals, like, even having a 500-year plan and then having, like, people come in and build the festival, like volunteers, it is truly such, like, a hands-on, dedicated, passion-filled project. But, I mean, Woodford, I feel like everyone has Woodford traditions. Do you guys have any traditions when you come back here that you have to do? I mean, one in my family is like the donut situation. Everyone has to get a donut.
Yeah, the donuts is a big thing for us. We also have call signs, because we've done a few Woodfords with walkie-talkies, and we kind of go into this walkie-talkie mode, which is hard to break out of, because once we leave here, we've only got mobile phones, but we kind of still talk to them as if breaker over, so the walkie-talkie thing is good, and we have like code names and call signs.
Naturally,
that's been a tradition. I'm trying to think of any others. I think just the tradition of actually just letting go and trusting that wherever I wander, I will find something amazing that's just right in front of me. Some people plan it all out, but I just kind of trust that where I am is where it's meant to be. So.
Yeah, that's part of the experience, I think, too, is like, I don't look too in depth at the program. I like to wander around and go, oh, that sounds really cool.
Yeah.
Someone described it to me as like your senses pulling on you to like go into certain places, and I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about your release Promises that came out this year, August. It's such a beautiful body of work, and it touches on a lot of different aspects of love and a lot of different facets of love, from like optimism to transformation, even rage. How is it bringing that material to Woodford this time around?
I think just bringing that material anywhere still feels really visceral and raw. Like, I still think about those songs when I'm travelling through tricky situations. I'm still going like, oh yeah, this is a Narrows moment, or this is a bleeding out moment, or this is a love that will not die moment. You know, like, they've become landmarks to me on a map. A map back to myself, a map back to my partner, a map back to kindness. Like, they're really like their philosophy. They've gone from being this sort of lived experience into being distilled and captured by the generous act of being with a friend and really, having each other to sit beside and go deep in it. And as collaborators who really, really love the art and craft of writing, but also really see it as part of how, for myself, I see it as part of my mental health and part of how I understand myself. So these particular songs, I almost feel like more than any other songs, are really like they're material that I still reach for. So bringing it to a huge audience like Woodford, many people have never heard the songs. Some people have, and playing predominantly just the new album, except for maybe 2 songs. It feels a bit scary. It feels a bit raw. But then again, to bring back to your metaphor, it's one of those festivals that you really can go, I trust that you're going to get this. So you can tell a funny, wacky story, but you can also tell the deep, hard stories and the deep, reaching songs, and know that the audience has the intelligence and the will to come with you. And then you get a compound experience. And without that, you're just kind of performing. But when we do that with an audience who can catch you, you get a connection, and then you get to build on something, because you get resonance. You get this thing of like people in the audience, which is why people are stopping us, because they're going, oh, I got that. It wasn't just like you were good up there. It's like, I got that. You spoke about me up there. Like, that was us. And it's just like, so these songs really do some heavy lifting on that particular feeling, especially for people in the middle of their lives who have been in long-term relationships. Like, these behaviours aren't, we both didn't do things in our relationship that nobody else was doing. This is shit that we're doing in our relationships, that people are doing. So it feels recognisable, even though it feels extremely personal. And there's just nothing like an audience like Woodford to really get that, because they're here for that. They're here for stories and songs and experiences, and they're here because they want to connect to something bigger than themselves, but also deeply intimate about themselves, so they can launch into a new year with a new sense of what might be possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to add anything, Dingo? Or?
That was good.
That was a good answer, yeah.
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah, I think, as you said, like, it is a time of the year where there's a lot of reflection happening and looking back on your past year, but also ahead. And as you said, like, everything that you touch on is very real, but also very vulnerable. I can imagine being up on the big stage and, like, singing those songs and talking about those emotions. In your new album, is there anything that you would want listeners or Woodfordians to, I guess, maybe take a piece with them into the new year or throughout the festival even?
I think it's really to listen to self, and to listen to others, and to listen to, spirit, or to listen to actually stop talking, and to take on board what is right around me all the time, which is often, guides me. And so I think the songs, the work that we put into them was just about, the hard work was just to listen. They were already in there, and they were already sort of waiting they were like patiently ready to be spoken and heard and lifted and elevated out of where they were, which is sort of hiding in plain sight, or in the unconscious, and so I think the songs that we have put together for this release really speak to the inner world coming into the outer world. And when that happens, it's not just for me, it's for everyone, or it's not just for Dan. It's like the work that we're doing is to remind everyone to listen to their own songs that are inside of them, and to sing them or speak them or write them or code them or draw them or whatever their language is. We chose music. But there's so many languages to connect with the inside with the outside.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, music can touch on like so many different parts of someone's brain and body and soul as well. And I really like the part of your answer of like, maybe not like forcing things to happen, but like listening to yourself and allowing them to reveal themselves over time. It does sort of take me onto my next like thought journey, is that it's been 5 years since your EP, but 7 years since your last album. Was there anything that felt differently, like it was tugging on you creatively differently to explore, whether that's sonically, emotionally, practically, anything?
Sonically, emotionally, practically.
I think, first of all, yes, it was 5 years since our last EP, but there was 2 years of COVID in there. So we literally didn't see each other or play one gig for 2 years. So some of the songs on Promises, actually the threads of them existed in 2019.
Wow.
And we weren't ready to write them, and we weren't ready to understand what they were kind of hinting at. They were kind of almost prophetic in ways. Not about the virus, but about the behaviours that were starting to kind of creep into our relationships, or were well embedded. What was your question again?
Sort of just like what maybe felt like it was tugging on you differently to explore or go into.
Well, we weren't necessarily absolutely sure we were going to make another body of work. Like, COVID was a full stop in a lot of ways for so many people, and we really had to assess whether there were more songs and whether we wanted to continue with the project. What we were forced to do was deal with all the festivals and shows we had booked before COVID that we were still contracted to play, that got remounted, and we had agreed to do those. So in 2022 we got, back in the room with each other and rehearsed, and then started doing shows again with a bit of like, well, this might just be us tying a bow on it and that's it. But there was these songs, and that's what was tugging on us. And also what it was for me personally, because when we went to write these songs, I was like, I can't even I don't even have words for what's happening in the middle of my chest right now. I feel so dulled out, and as a person of words, that's a really scary space. But we had booked in this writing time to be like, let's just see what happens. And I remember pulling up in the driveway of this house that we were going to write the album in, just being like, I'm not going to be able to write anything. Like, I can't even explain to the person closest to me what's happening for me right now. There's not going to be anything there. But it's almost like by creating the shape around it and saying, here's the intention, this thing, this vessel will catch you, will catch what's there, you're just going to sit and, like what Dingo's saying, you're going to listen for a minute. You're going to just have a listen and put some framework and some scaffolding around that listening to capture the threads of things that come out. And what was made abundantly clear as far as what was tugging at us was that there was all this material that was waiting for language. But the language wasn't just linear and words. It needed music, it needed rhythm, it needed the body to fully understand itself. It needed to be distilled and torn apart and rewritten and re-examined, and then it needed to be sung. Like, this wasn't stuff that was going to come out in long-form conversation, because we tried that. Yeah. So, yeah, that's what I felt was really tugging, was just like, these songs were like, despite my resistance, they were like, get in the room, get in the room. I'm waiting here. And then once we got in the room, it was like, boof.
Wow.
Well, all I was going to say is it was waiting for the safety of our friendship and our working method. You know, it was like all these raw materials, and the way that we have worked together for years musically, but also as friends, has meant that when we get in a room, we know how to meet each other, like, not only to hold each other's most vulnerable, like, parts, emotional parts, but then to push and encourage and coax out the music, because it's like, whatever you do, Dan, like, it's amazing, and I will join you with music there. And to have that container means that I reach deeper, and I go for things that are harder to know, because it's like, this woman has got me, and I get to just sort of turn off the part of me that's criticising the creative process, because it's like I'm being produced, by someone who's like, that's what a great music producer does. They don't twiddle knobs or tell you to sing it better. They're like, they just hold it and they encourage you when you kind of get to the hot spot. It's like, right there, that's the spot. Do that, and that's what feels good. It's safe for us to encourage each other to go into the dark corners.
Yeah.
To find the gold. So, sorry to interrupt you,
No,
but
you didn't interrupt me at all.
Yeah.
It's a really good point, because it's clumsy. Creativity is an act of chaos and creation, but to think that it's a clean experience and is folly, because then we cut ourselves off as soon as it feels clumsy. And the idea is you got to open the gates really wide. And usually when you're your own self-critic, it's easy to be like, oh, this is terrible. But when you're doing it with someone else and you've got someone going, that bit, what happens when you put those three bits together? And you're like, oh, I didn't, and then which bit? You're like, the bit that you did where you went, da-da-da, da-da, and you're not even conscious of it, but you got someone else and trusted collaborator who's just going, oh, what happens if that, what about if I put this harmony here, what happens, and we're just like literally pointing it out. And we have form for that. We do writing exercises, we do things where we're stirring that chaos pot, and also stirring the pot of everything being disposable. So we don't make it to finish it, we just get into making things, fragments, threads, stirring, and then in that are the songs knocking. That's what the tug is. So you're looking for where the tug is, you're looking for where the magnet is, but it's not just like sitting on the top of the pile. It's like it's under a mountain of words and chaotic kind of concepts, and then it's like, that's the bit. So it's I love this creative partnership for that reason.
The old school water diviners, and they're just wandering around in a field with those two rods. That's us. We're literally out in a paddock. It's getting dark. there's just two rods and we're just like fishing.
Yeah.
There's like, I think there's a thing there in you. Let's go there.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It's not easy,
Yeah.
but it's fun.
And to bring it back to Promises, the song,
All the way back.
all that song was like striking water, and then just being like, oh no, that's bad water.
Mm-hmm.
We can't touch. That's awful.
That's potentially a sewer main. It's a sewer main.
But it
Not
wasn't a
water
sewer
pipe.
main. It was just it was just the truth. And it was the thing that had for me, I'll speak for myself, had rendered me mute because I was refusing to accept the sheer grittiness of it, really. And I mean, that language talks about foxes and snakes and beasts, and I would never have stumbled across that in a conversation. You know, that happened because we were writhing and desperate ourselves and like feeling sick with ourselves. And they were these kind of images that started kind of swirling. We're like, what is this song? But that thing that felt the most like, whoa, because it had so much tug to it, has become our North Star. We've got a theatre show, we've got this album, these ARIA nominations, these chart positions, because we dared to go, oh, there's something there, and I want to look away, but actually we need to go there. That's the door.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, I don't know, I have, and I think artists a lot of the time have a tendency to be perfectionistic, but you do just have to dive into the grittiness and the uncomfortableness sometimes to explore those really meaningful emotions and just be vulnerable in that. And I think too, it's a testament to your guys' friendship and bond that you can have those years of built up trust to sit in those uncomfortable places together. It does sort of take me on to my next question, as you mentioned movability, and I think that there's your music touches on soul and mind and body. When you're creating together musically, what excites you most about, making these sonic landscapes together?
That's a great question. I think it's the limitation that there's just two of us is exciting. A kite doesn't fly without a string.
Yeah.
So it's the most simple idea becomes, there's so much space around it. So it becomes graceful and etched, It's that simple, the way that Danielle plays a simple drum beat or a simple phrase or pattern. For me, it has a meaning that's more than just a drum kit. It's there's something happening there that I'm like, let me add it, And I don't know if Dan feels the same with my guitar stuff, but I think by the time we get into a studio where we're making these sort of finer, more nuanced, subtle decisions that are creating all of the detail, because God is in the detail, Goddess is in the detail, that's where that real masterwork of our collaboration comes in. We get to just go off, give each other long leads. It's just try this sort of idea and see what happens there. And I trust Dan's ears, and her instinct. I trust creatively, and I trust my own. I love taking risks, in the studio and with sounds as well. And I would take less risks if it was me by myself, because I've got someone on the end of the rope that's going to pull me back in if I go too far. So when we do get to those points where it goes from just us sort of fumbling around in the dark with a drum kit and a guitar to let's work with this 16-piece choir.
Yeah.
Let's add this sort of feeling, And for me, when I'm in the studio, our songs are always very visual, so I don't sort of see them as songs. I sort of see them as these little films.
Wow.
And so I see it as light and colour and shade and darkness, and I see it as a stage. So it's there's a character that emerges in the first verse and it sort of steps out, and it's what are they going to say? And then, it's Dan. She's singing. She's the character of the song, so she starts singing, and I'm like, okay, what happens next? When the chorus comes in, does the lights go up in the left wing, and then does it get brighter, and do we drop balloons in the outro? Or, all these. I see it. What we do very visually, so I think that influences our music a bit as well.
All of that, and there's this great thing called prosody, which is when the lyrics are completely elevated by the arrangement.
Yeah.
And they become a field. And it's like exactly what you're saying. It's like it becomes cinematic. It becomes, if I just said the words to a song to you versus sung the words to a song to you with a melody that matches the sentiment of that story.
Can you give us an example?
So like words out of our mouths like arrows, seeking the truth in the shadows. We built this thing when we were kids. Now we've grown up and out of it, right? But when we go, words out of our mouths like arrows, you're reaching for something in those notes. Seeking the truth in the shadows. Like you're putting the grief into it. You're putting the longing into it by the choice of the chords, by the choice of like everything is part of the story for us. And our harmony is a part of the story for us. So when all those things start to become bigger than the sum of their parts, that's what really excites me. It's like, oh, this is okay, we've discovered the story that we're telling, and now every single thing needs to tell a part of it. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily tell the same thing all at the same time either. Like the drum might be doing a thing where it's like, it's kind of almost really syncopated and it doesn't give away the one too often, or it doesn't give away something. It's like, it's kind of creating unrest rather than rest, or it's like it's everything you do, but it's also the things you don't do. It's the things you don't give away, and how that becomes part of the wholeness of something. And I think with what Dingo's describing around the songs being very visual for him, I think that's part of it. Like it should feel like the entirety of a story is playing out, but you're not going to get that in your brain. You're going to get that because your body remembers music, and your body remembers patterns, and then how what's missing in a pattern, and all of that is playing out in a part of your brain that is just music, that is not academic, it's not political, it's not none of those things. It's just going, oh, I understand what they're saying, which is why you can listen to songs in other languages and be like, why do I get it?
Yeah.
Why do I get this?
Absolutely.
Because the words are just one part, but the sentiment is the wholeness of everything. Mm-hmm. So I get very excitement. I get very excited when the sentiment is whole, even if it's an uncomfortable sentiment.
I mean, our job is as simple as we have to make people feel. Mm-hmm. Like we're here to remind people to feel. And we can only ask that if we're willing to feel as well. First, lead by example. Yeah. So if we're feeling something in the song, if it's like every time we sing, you sing that a little bit, I get this, then we're on the right track. So it just keeps following the map of that. So, with two of us, that every dot has to be dotted, every I has to be dotted, every T crossed, because, it's very meaningful, and we're at a point in our lives where it's like to get into a studio requires so much effort and resources. We live on opposite sides of the fucking country, like it's not just happening because we're just chilling out and having a cup of tea together. Like our music comes together because it's two sides of the coast, literally meeting somewhere, getting on planes, organising all these things. So it's like it counts. It counts for us to be in a room together. It counts for us to listen to each other's words, melodies, feelings, sounds, the whole thing. Sorry.
You have to be sorry. I forgot what I was going to say.
Music has to make people feel.
Feel.
Not feel.
Reminding people to feel, and also, and the only way we can do that is by authentically doing that ourselves. Yeah. Like, I still get the chills in our songs.
Yeah.
I'm still being reminded to feel it. I'm still imbibing that, the medicine of the song in real time. I got it in Bluebell today. I got it in Underground today. I got it I literally get like, oh, that's right. This is the song, but it's doing it on me, and I've done that song so many times, but it's still like, and that's what I'm going for. I'm like, if I can get there, and that's my job, get there, Dan. Like, that's why we tell the stories too. We tell the stories for the audience, but we tell the story to go, hold on, position yourself. Where are you? Where is this song? Where is the story? You got it? You feel that? Now do it. And then it's like, ooh, and that's why that other part happens.
Yeah.
I was going to say, hearing that, we both did this amazing, at different times of our lives, this amazing study And there's a phrase in that study which sums up all this for me. And if I flip it and I say, our job as songwriters is not to ask people to feel better, but it's to get better at feeling.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
Yeah, that's our job as listeners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is what I was going to touch on your answer too, is like, it's a really simple sentence, like your job is to make people feel, but that's very hard to do if you're not like authentically sitting in those emotions, feeling them and being honest and vulnerable and real. And that's hard to do, I think, as songwriters. But as you said, like you've built this like sonic world, I think that people can walk through and experience with you. And that's something that's really beautiful and testament to you guys as really talented, amazing musicians. But my last question before I wrap up is, I think Woodford is a time of like reflection, especially being in nature and starting a new year. What are you guys carrying into the next year with you?
This year's been so massive. I'm carrying a feeling, a prayer and an intention that it can be easy. Like that we've done the run-up. You know when you do a really good run-up for something and then you get to experience the push off
The
it?
catapult.
We have been running up, you know? And now I'm just really want to get the ease of the momentum and enjoy that ease. And I understand that momentum comes with its own responsibility, that you got to then keep that momentum going. But it has energy in it now. There is all this energy that we've built 1 degree, 1 cell at a time. But we've built a lot. And now I need to switch mode out of the paddle, and I need to get on the wave and enjoy the ride. Yeah. So ease is a big part of that for me. Joy is a really big part of that for me. I've had a real flip around the idea of how important joy is, because I often felt like it was being disloyal to how much grief I was experiencing around the state of the world and state of politics, and it just felt like, how can I possibly feel joy? And it's actually like, we have to feel joy. Dingo touched on it today. It's like our humanity is the original intelligence, and if we hand it over to these marauding forces of division, we've lost the game. And the game is to remain connected, to be really achingly human, and part of being achingly human is to be playful and joyous. And that's a practice. You can slip, I can slip, I can become unpracticed at being joyful, and to be able to have the maturity to hold both immense grief at the state of things, whether it's in Gaza or whether it's in Bondi Beach or whether it's in Congo or whether it's whether it's in the Northern Territory or whether it's in my community. If I can't hold that grief and simultaneously advocate for that, for whatever it needs to fix that, and also advocate for joy, there's no fuel for the other thing. Yeah. And that's burnout. So working out how to really, really foster both. Because sometimes I can be like, okay, joy, I'll have to put the blinders on. And it's like, nah, blinders off. I'll take you both. Yeah. And I'll have you both, and I'll care for both of you. I'm not a kid, I'm a parent, I'm a mother, I'm a grown woman, and I'm going to care for both of you with equal reverence. So that, and then it being easy, is my mission moving forward. Yeah.
How about yourself?
That was beautiful. This year, joy, huge. I had a massive moment a few months ago thinking about new music for us, and this body of work has been heavy at times to carry, and our friendship and the way that, I would say a large percentage of our hang time is very joyous. So I'm like, why don't we just do that? Why we've done the heavy lifting. We've carried those weights. We've carried, we've done the paddling. We've done the paddling. And so in speaking to that celebration, that practice of joy, what would that sound like?
Yeah.
What would the music be? What would the soundtrack to joy be? And can we bring that? Are we willing to like step into a world of such colourful, broken mess and beauty? Are we willing to throw our hats in the ring and speak for joy? And so that's what next year feels like for me. And it's funny. It happened. It wasn't like, oh, hey, do you want to do joy? It's sort of like, oh, I'm at joy in my journey right now too. And it's like, it's coincidental.
Oh, that's serendipitous.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, so it's cool.
Well, thank you guys both so much for taking the time to have a chat. I really appreciate it. And thank you so much.
Absolute pleasure. Beautiful questions. And thanks for dedicating yourself to listening at such a, big, sort of busy, wild event.
Thank you.
It's hard. Well done.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Well, there you go. An episode hosted by somebody, not me. I liked it. We want to do more of that too. If you're interested in being a guest host of Radio Woodfordia, we're an open book here. Come in. Don't take my job though, I've got 4 kids and I need to feed them. Anyway, this was recorded on Jinnabara country. The music is provided to us by the wonderful East Pointers and it's produced by Woodfordia. Thanks.